I waited 10 years for you. The day I saw her again after 10 years, I realized something terrifying. Time had changed everything except the one place in my heart where she still lived. The rain had been falling for almost 3 hours, turning the old streets of Willow Creek into a mirror of forgotten memories. The small town looked exactly the same and completely different at the same time. The old wooden bridge still crossed the quiet river. The little cafe where they used to sit for hours still had the same faded blue door. The trees that once witnessed their laughter still stood silently beside the road, carrying stories that no one else knew. But he was no longer the young man who had stood beneath those trees 10 years ago, watching the girl he loved walk away. He was 32 now. His hair had a few strands of silver that were never there before. His eyes carried the weight of years, responsibilities, and battles he had fought alone. The world called him successful. His company had grown into one of the most respected businesses in the city. People admired his discipline, his confidence, and his achievements. Nobody knew that every achievement had a missing piece. Nobody knew that every birthday candle he blew out for 10 years carried the same silent wish. Nobody knew that every night, before closing his eyes, he still remembered a promise made by a 17-year-old girl with tears in her eyes. Wait for me. And he had. For 10 years. Not because he was unable to move on. Not because he was trapped in the past. But because some people enter your life in a way that changes the meaning of everything afterward. Some people become a part of your heartbeat. And when they leave, you do not stop living. You simply learn how to live with a missing part of yourself. Daniel Hayes stood outside the small train station, holding an old envelope inside his coat pocket. The paper was worn, the edges were damaged, the ink had faded slightly. But he knew every word written inside. He had read that letter hundreds of times. Maybe thousands. The letter had arrived 10 years too late. Or maybe it had arrived exactly when it was meant to. He still did not know. A train whistle echoed through the quiet evening. Daniel looked toward the tracks. His heart, which had survived a decade without expecting anything, suddenly began beating like the heart of the young boy he used to be. He hated that feeling. He hated that after 10 years, one possibility could still break down all the walls he had built. Daniel. The voice behind him froze his entire world. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. The human mind was strange. When you missed someone enough, it could create miracles just to hurt you again. Slowly, he turned around. And there she was. Emma Carter. The girl who had once known every dream he had. The girl who had held his hand when he was afraid. The girl who had promised him forever. The girl who disappeared from his life without saying goodbye. 10 years disappeared in 1 second. She stood a few feet away from him, holding a black umbrella. Her hair was slightly wet from the rain, and her eyes were exactly the same. Those eyes. The eyes that had once made him believe the world was a beautiful place. But there was something different too. Pain. A quiet sadness hidden behind her smile. Neither of them spoke. Sometimes, after losing someone for so long, words become too small. 1,000 questions filled the space between them. Where were you? Why did you leave? Did you ever think about me? Did you miss me the way I missed you? Was I the only one who waited? Finally, Emma whispered, "You really came." Daniel looked at her, unable to hide the emotion in his voice. "You knew I would." Her lips trembled. "No," she said softly, "I didn't." The answer hurt more than he expected. After 10 years of waiting, he had imagined their reunion 1,000 different ways. In every version, she ran toward him. In every version, she cried and told him she had never stopped loving him. In every version, the years disappeared. But reality was not a dream. Reality carried wounds. Reality carried unanswered questions. Daniel looked away for a moment, trying to control the storm inside him. "I heard you were coming back." Emma lowered her eyes. Who told you? Small towns remember everything. A sad smile appeared on her face. Some things they remember, some things they forget. Daniel looked at her. I never forgot. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Emma closed her eyes for a moment. Daniel. The way she said his name almost broke him. Because after 10 years, it still sounded like home. 10 years earlier, before the distance, before the pain, before the silence. They were just two young people who believed love could solve anything. They met on a summer afternoon when the world seemed endless and life seemed simple. Daniel was 17 when he first saw Emma sitting under the old oak tree behind the town library. She was reading a book, not using her phone, not talking to anyone, just sitting there, completely lost in another world. Daniel had passed that tree every day for almost a year, but somehow he had never noticed her before. Maybe some people appear in your life only when you are ready to see them. He remembered thinking she looked peaceful, like someone who carried her own little universe inside her. His friend Michael noticed him staring. Who are you looking at? Daniel immediately looked away. No one. Michael laughed. That is definitely someone. Daniel ignored him. But the next day, he found himself walking past the library again. And the day after that. And the day after that. Soon, the girl under the oak tree became the reason he took the longer route home. One afternoon, a strong wind blew through the garden, and Emma's papers scattered everywhere. Daniel ran to help her collect them. When he handed the last page back, their fingers touched. A tiny moment. A meaningless moment to anyone else. But for Daniel, it was the beginning of everything. Thank you, Emma said. Her voice was gentle. Daniel nodded awkwardly. You're welcome. A few seconds passed. Neither moved. Finally, Emma smiled. You always walk past here. Daniel froze. You noticed. She laughed softly. Yes, you are not very mysterious. He smiled. I thought I was. No, she said. You are actually very obvious. That was the first time Emma made him laugh. And somehow, without either of them realizing it, that small conversation became the first page of a story they thought would never end. Over the next few months, they became inseparable. They discovered that love was not built only from grand moments. It was created from ordinary days. From conversations that lasted until midnight. From sharing dreams they were afraid to tell anyone else. From knowing when the other person was sad without asking. Emma wanted to become an architect. She loved designing spaces where people could feel safe. Daniel wanted to build something meaningful. Not just a business. A legacy. You always think about the future, Emma once told him while they sat beside the river. Daniel smiled. And you always think about making the future beautiful. She looked at him. Maybe we can do both. He turned toward her. What do you mean? Emma smiled. Maybe someday you'll build the places, and I'll design them. Daniel laughed. So we'll work together. Of course. Forever. She looked at the river. The sunset painted the water gold. Then she looked back at him. Forever. That single word became their promise. A promise they were both too young to understand. Because forever sounds easy when life is kind. The real meaning of forever is discovered when life becomes difficult. The night before Emma disappeared was the night Daniel remembered most. Not because something dramatic happened, because nothing did. And sometimes the quiet endings hurt the most. They sat on the same old bench beside the river. Emma was unusually silent. Daniel noticed. Something is wrong. She smiled. No. Emma. She looked away. He knew her too well. Tell me. Her eyes filled with tears. And that was the moment Daniel realized something was about to break. "I have to leave." His smile disappeared. "What?" "My family is moving." "When?" "Tomorrow." The world suddenly became too quiet. Daniel stared at her. "Tomorrow?" She nodded. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was afraid." But she didn't say it. Instead, she whispered, "Because I didn't know how to say goodbye." Daniel felt something inside him collapse. "Then don't." She looked at him. "What?" "Don't say goodbye." Tears fell down her cheeks. "Daniel." "No, we can figure this out." "I don't know if we can." "We can." He held her hand. "We promised." Emma looked at their hands. "I know." "Then trust us." Her silence was the answer he feared. That night, beneath the same sky where they had promised forever, they said goodbye without knowing it would become 10 years. And Daniel never knew the truth. He never knew why she left. He never knew the secret she carried. He never knew that while he was waiting for her, she was waiting too. The 10 years between us. The hardest thing about losing someone is not the moment they leave. It is the morning after. Because the world continues as if nothing happened. The sun still rises. People still laugh. Cars still move through crowded streets. The seasons still change. But for the person who has lost someone important, everything feels strangely different. The same places feel empty. The same songs feel painful. The same memories that once brought happiness begin to carry a quiet ache. For Daniel Hayes, the morning after Emma left was the first day of a life he never planned to live. He woke up before sunrise. For a few seconds, he forgot. His hand reached toward his phone, expecting a message from her. As simple, "Good morning." Or, "Did you sleep well?" Or even, "I miss you." But there was nothing. Only silence. And then the memory returned. Emma was gone. He sat on the edge of his bed for a long time, staring at the empty space in front of him. People often believe heartbreak arrives like a storm. They imagine dramatic tears, broken objects, and endless crying. But Daniel learned that heartbreak was quieter than that. It was waking up and remembering. It was reaching for someone who was no longer there. It was seeing something beautiful and having nobody to share it with. It was carrying thousands of words inside your heart with nowhere to send them. For the first few months, Daniel refused to believe it was over. He called her number every day. At first, she answered. But their conversations became shorter. The distance between them was not only measured in miles. It was measured in things they could not say. Emma sounded different. Older. Tired. Like someone carrying a burden she refused to share. "Are you okay?" Daniel asked one night. There was a long pause. "I'm fine." He closed his eyes. He hated that answer. Because he knew Emma. He knew when she was truly fine. And he knew when she was pretending. "You don't sound fine." "I'm just adjusting." To what? To a new life. Those words hurt. Because Daniel suddenly realized something terrifying. Maybe Emma was learning how to live without him, while he was still learning how to survive without her. "I miss you," he whispered. The silence on the other end lasted several seconds. Then Emma said softly, "I miss you too." Those 4 words became the reason he continued waiting. Because even when people say they are moving on, sometimes their hearts tell a different story. But love is not always defeated by distance. Sometimes it is defeated by things people cannot see. Daniel did not know that Emma's life had changed completely after leaving Willow Creek. He did not know about the hospital visits. He did not know about the nights she cried silently so her family would not hear. He did not know about the impossible choice placed in front of her. And most importantly, he did not know that leaving him had been the hardest decision she had ever made. 3 months after she left, Daniel received a package. There was no sender's name. Inside was a small wooden box. His heart immediately recognized it. It was the box where Emma kept their memories. Inside were photographs. A dried flower from the first garden they visited together. A movie ticket from their first date. A small paper note written in Emma's handwriting. Some people enter your life and make ordinary moments unforgettable. Daniel held the note against his chest. Then he found another envelope. His hands shook as he opened it. But the letter inside was not from Emma. It was from her mother. Daniel read it slowly. And with every sentence, his understanding of the world began to change. Daniel, I don't know if I should be writing this to you. I don't know if Emma would forgive me for telling you. But after watching her suffer for months, I believe you deserve to know the truth. Emma did not leave because she stopped loving you. She left because she loved you too much. Daniel stopped reading. His breathing became heavy. He continued. When we moved, Emma was not choosing a new life. She was sacrificing the one she wanted. Her father lost everything after his business failed. We had debts, and we had nowhere to go. Emma received an opportunity to study in another city, but it came with conditions. She had to leave everything behind and help rebuild our family. She wanted to tell you. She wanted to ask you to wait. But she was afraid. Daniel's fingers tightened around the paper. Afraid. Why? The next lines answered him. She was afraid because she knew you would wait. She knew you would choose her, and she couldn't accept taking away your future. Daniel looked away. Tears filled his eyes. For 10 years, he had believed she abandoned him. But the truth was something completely different. She had left because she thought staying would destroy his dreams. Emma believed love was supposed to set people free, not hold them back. Daniel whispered, "You were wrong, Emma." His voice broke. You were so wrong. Because love was never a chain to him. It was a choice. And he would have chosen her. Every single time. Years passed. 1 year. 2 years. 5 years. 10 years. And Daniel became everything he once dreamed of becoming. But success had a strange emptiness when the person you wanted to share it with was missing. He built his company from nothing. He traveled across countries. He met hundreds of people. He received awards. He shook hands with important people. But whenever someone asked him, "How did you become so successful?" he never told them the truth. That his greatest motivation was a promise he made when he was 17. A promise to a girl under an oak tree. People around him tried to make him move on. His friends told him, "Daniel, you can't spend your whole life waiting." His mother told him, "Sometimes loving someone means accepting that they are gone." But Daniel always answered the same way. "I'm not waiting for the past." His mother looked at him sadly. "Then what are you waiting for?" Daniel looked out the window. For the truth. Because deep inside, something always told him their story was unfinished. Meanwhile, Emma Carter was living a life nobody knew about. She was no longer the 17-year-old girl who sat beneath the oak tree reading books. She had become an accomplished architect. She designed buildings around the world. Buildings that gave people homes. Spaces that gave people hope. Everyone admired her talent. Everyone saw her success. Nobody saw the empty chair crossed from her dinner table. Nobody saw the old photograph hidden inside her desk drawer. Nobody saw the name she still whispered when she was alone. Daniel. There were nights when Emma wondered what would have happened if she had been brave. What if she had told him everything? What if she had trusted their love? What if she had stayed? But life does not give people the chance to rewrite their choices. It only gives them opportunities to understand them. And Emma had spent 10 years learning one painful lesson. You can protect someone's future and still break their heart. The day Emma decided to return to Willow Creek was not because she expected Daniel to be there. It was because she finally understood something. She had spent 10 years believing she was protecting him. But maybe she had only taken away his right to choose. Love was not about making decisions for someone else. Love was about standing beside them when life became difficult. She arrived in town carrying a suitcase. And inside that suitcase was a letter. A letter she had written 10 years ago. A letter Daniel was supposed to receive. A letter explaining everything. But fate had delayed it. And now, 10 years later, it had finally found its way home. Back at the train station, Daniel stood in front of Emma. The rain continued falling between them. Two people who had once known everything about each other now stood like strangers. Emma looked at him. "I need to tell you something." Daniel's heart tightened. "What?" She reached into her bag and pulled out an old envelope. The paper was faded. The edges were worn. But Daniel recognized the handwriting immediately. His own name was written on it. Daniel Hayes. His hands began to shake. "Where did you get this?" Emma looked down. "I wrote it 10 years ago." The world became silent. Daniel stared at the envelope. A letter that had waited 10 years. Just like him. Emma whispered, "I never stopped loving you." And for the first time in 10 years, Daniel did not know whether to smile or cry. Because sometimes the thing you wait for your entire life arrives carrying both happiness and pain. The letter she never sent. Daniel stared at the envelope in Emma's hand as if it were something impossible. A piece of paper. A simple letter. Yet somehow it carried 10 years of silence, 10 years of questions, and 10 years of emotions he had never been able to put into words. The rain continued falling around them, but neither of them noticed anymore. The world had become strangely distant. There was only the letter. Only Emma. Only the past standing in front of him. "Why didn't I get this?" Daniel finally asked. His voice was not angry. That almost made it worse. It carried something deeper. Pain. Confusion. A quiet sadness from a person who had spent years trying to understand why someone he loved chose to disappear. Emma looked down. "I tried to send it." Daniel looked at her. "But you didn't." She closed her eyes. "No." The answer hung between them. 10 years of waiting had prepared Daniel for many possibilities. He imagined Emma had forgotten him. He imagined she had found someone else. He imagined she had moved on and built a completely different life. But he never imagined this. A letter. A message that existed but never reached him. A goodbye that was never actually spoken. "Why?" Daniel asked. Emma swallowed. "Because I was afraid." He laughed softly. But there was no happiness in it. Afraid of what, Emma? She looked at him. And for the first time in 10 years, Daniel saw the girl he remembered. Not the successful architect. Not the woman everyone admired. The girl who had cried beside the river because she was afraid of losing him. Afraid that if you knew the truth, you would come after me. Daniel's expression changed. And that was a bad thing. A tear rolled down her cheek. No. Her voice broke. That was the problem. They walked away from the train station without knowing where they were going. Sometimes when people finally meet after years apart, they do not know how to begin. Where do you start? With the first day you miss them. With the last moment you saw them. With all the things you wanted to say. Or with the pain you carried silently. They walked toward the old bridge. The same bridge where they used to sit after school. The same place where Daniel once told Emma, "I don't know what the future looks like, but I know I want you in it." 10 years later, the bridge was older. The wooden boards had been replaced. The paint had faded, but the river still flowed beneath it. Just like memories, they chain, but they never disappear. Emma stopped in the middle of the bridge. "Do you remember this place?" Daniel smiled sadly. "I remember everything." She looked at him. "Everything. Everything." He looked toward the river. "I remember the first time you told me you hated coffee, but kept drinking it because you thought it made you look mature." A small smile appeared on her face. "I was 17. You were terrible at pretending." She laughed quietly. For a moment, they were young again. For a moment, 10 years disappeared. Then reality returned. Emma's smile faded. "I thought about you every day." Daniel looked at her. "Then why didn't you call?" She lowered her eyes. "Because every time I wanted to, I remembered why I left." "And what reason was that?" She took a deep breath. "My father was sick." Daniel became silent. He had never known. "He had a heart condition," Emma continued. "After his business failed, everything became worse. My family was struggling. We couldn't afford treatment. My mother was falling apart. I was the only person who could help." She looked at her hands. "I got accepted into a university program in another city. It included financial support and work opportunities. It was the only chance my family had." Daniel listened quietly. "Why didn't you tell me?" Emma looked at him. "Because I knew you." The words confused him. "What does that mean?" "It means you would have left everything." Daniel shook his head. "No." "Yes." "No, Emma." She looked into his eyes. "You would have given up your dreams for me." Daniel opened his mouth to answer, but he stopped, because deep inside, he knew she was right. At 17, he would have done anything. He would have followed her anywhere. He would have abandoned everything without hesitation. And Emma had been afraid that his love would become his sacrifice. "I wasn't trying to leave you," she whispered. Daniel looked away. "But you did." The words were simple, but they carried 10 years of pain. Emma nodded slowly. "I know. You disappeared. I know. You let me believe you stopped loving me. I know." Her voice broke. "But I was trying to make you hate me." Daniel looked back at her. "What?" Emma wiped her tears. "I thought if you hated me, you would move on." Daniel stared at her. "Did you really think that would work?" "No." She smiled sadly. "I learned that after a few months." "Then why continue?" "Because by then, too much had changed." The truth was that Emma had wanted to return many times. Every birthday, every holiday, every important moment. She wanted to knock on his door. She wanted to tell him everything. She wanted to say, "I never left because I stopped loving you." But life kept creating distance. Her father's illness lasted years. Her responsibilities grew. Her career demanded more. And every time she thought about returning, she wondered, would Daniel still want me? Would he forgive me? Would 10 years of silence be too much? Eventually, fear became its own prison. Daniel took the letter from her hand. The envelope felt heavier than paper should. "Can I read it?" Emma nodded. "You should have read it 10 years ago." He carefully opened it. Inside was a letter written by a 17-year-old girl. A girl who was saying goodbye while still hoping she would come back. "Dear Daniel, I don't know if you will ever forgive me. Maybe one day you will hate me. Maybe one day you will forget my name. But I need you to know something. Leaving you is not what I wanted. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. You made me believe I was worth loving. You made ordinary days feel special. You made me dream about a future I was afraid to imagine. If love alone could fix everything, I would never leave. But sometimes, loving someone means making the hardest choice. I don't want you to follow me. I don't want you to lose your dreams because of me. Promise me something, Daniel. Promise me you will become the person you always wanted to be. Promise me you will laugh again. Promise me you will find happiness, even if I am not there. And if someday our paths cross again, I hope you will look at me without anger, because I never stopped loving you. Not for one day. Not for one moment. Always. Emma. Daniel finished reading. He did not speak. He simply stood there, holding the letter. 10 years of questions had finally received answers. But answers did not erase pain. Understanding someone does not automatically heal what happened. Sometimes truth brings relief. Sometimes truth brings a different kind of sadness. Because Daniel realized something. Emma had loved him. She had always loved him. But she had also made a choice without him. And that was the wound that remained. I waited for you, Daniel finally said. Emma looked at him. I know. No. His voice trembled. You don't. He looked at the river. I waited because I thought someday you would come back and explain. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to. I spent 10 years wondering what was wrong with me. Her expression changed. What? I thought maybe I wasn't enough. Emma immediately shook her head. Daniel, no. I thought maybe I wasn't worth staying for. Her tears fell. Never say that. But that's what your silence felt like. The pain in his voice broke something inside her. Because she finally understood. She had saved him from sacrificing his future. But she had accidentally made him question his worth. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Emma quietly said, Can you forgive me? Daniel looked at her. 1,000 emotions passed through his eyes. Love. Pain. Anger. Hope. I don't know. The answer hurt her. But she nodded. Because she knew forgiveness was not something she could demand. It was something she had to earn. I understand. Daniel folded the letter carefully. Emma. She looked at him. I never stopped loving you. Her breath caught. But love is not the only thing that matters anymore. She nodded slowly. I know. We are not 17 anymore. I know. We can't just pretend 10 years didn't happen. I know. Daniel looked at her. Then what do we do? Emma looked toward the river. The place where they once promised forever. And softly she answered. We start again. That night, Daniel returned home with the letter in his hand. For 10 years, he had waited for Emma to come back. But now that she was here, he discovered something he never expected. Waiting was easy. Beginning again was harder. Because the question was no longer, do I still love her? He knew the answer. The question was, can two people rebuild something that time has broken? The next morning, Daniel received a phone call. It was from Emma. He stared at her name on the screen for several seconds. 10 years ago, seeing her name would have made him smile instantly. Now it made him afraid. Because love after heartbreak was different. It was not blind. It was careful. It was fragile. He answered. Hello. There was silence. Then Emma said, I need to tell you the rest of the truth. Daniel sat down. The rest? Yes. His heart tightened. What else don't I know? Emma's voice became quiet. Why I came back. Daniel waited. Then she said the words that would change everything. Because 10 years ago, before I left, I was going to ask you to marry me. Daniel stopped breathing. The promise we never broke. For several seconds after Emma spoke those words, Daniel could not respond. The world around him continued moving. Cars passed outside his window. People walked along the street. The sound of the city carried on, as if nothing extraordinary had happened. But inside Daniel's heart, something from 10 years ago had suddenly awakened. I was going to ask you to marry me. The sentence repeated itself again and again. He closed his eyes. Because somehow, after everything they had lost, that was the one thing he never expected to hear. Daniel. Her voice pulled him back. Are you still there? He swallowed. Yes. A pause. He stopped. Because what could he say? How could he explain that his heart was trying to hold two opposite feelings at the same time? Happiness and pain. You were going to marry me. Emma breathed slowly. Yes. When? The night before I left. Daniel looked down at the old letter sitting on his desk. The letter he had just read. The letter that had arrived 10 years too late. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was scared. You keep saying that. I know. Her voice trembled. But it was true. Emma remembered that night clearly. The night before she left Willow Creek. The night she carried a small ring inside her jacket pocket. A ring she had bought with money she saved from working part-time after school. It was not expensive. It was not perfect. But to her, it represented everything. Their dreams. Their future. Their promise. She had planned to meet Daniel beside the river. She had planned to tell him everything. About her family's struggles. About leaving. About her fear. And then she was going to ask him the question she had practiced, saying 100 times. Daniel Hayes, will you choose me for the rest of our lives? But life changed the plan. That afternoon, her father collapsed. The hospital called. Her family was falling apart. And suddenly, the beautiful future she had imagined became something impossible. She sat beside her father's hospital bed that night, holding the ring in her hand. Her father opened his eyes. Emma. She quickly wiped her tears. Yes, Dad. He looked at the ring. And somehow, he understood. You were going to tell him. Emma looked away. Yes. Then tell him. She shook her head. I can't. Why? Because he will come with me. Her father was silent. Then he said something she never forgot. Emma, don't confuse protecting someone with deciding their life for them. At 17, she did not understand. She thought she was being strong. She thought she was making the sacrifice love required. Years later, she realized something painful. Sometimes the hardest thing about love is allowing someone else the freedom to choose you. Daniel listened quietly as Emma told him everything. The hospital. Her father. The ring. The future they almost had. I kept it, she whispered. Daniel's voice was soft. Kept what? The ring. Silence. You still have it. Yes. Why? Emma smiled sadly. Because I never stopped believing that one day I would tell you the truth. Daniel leaned back in his chair. 10 years ago, he had lost a future he never knew existed. And now that future was standing at the door again. But it was not the same. They were not the same. The following afternoon, Daniel met Emma at the old cafe near the town square. The same cafe where they had spent countless hours talking about their dreams. The owner had changed the furniture. The walls had been painted, but the smell of coffee and old memories remained. Emma was sitting by the window when he arrived. For a moment, Daniel simply watched her. 10 years ago, he would have walked in without hesitation. He would have smiled. He would have taken the seat beside her. Now he stood there, realizing something important. He was not meeting the girl he loved. He was meeting the woman she had become. And she was meeting the man he had become. They were strangers, carrying familiar memories. Hi, Emma said. Daniel smiled slightly. Hi. A strange awkwardness filled the space between them. They had once talked for hours, without running out of things to say. Now they searched for words. Emma looked at him. I know this is difficult. It is. I know I hurt you. You did. She nodded. I deserve that. Daniel looked at his coffee. I spent a long time being angry. Are you still angry? He thought about it. Sometimes. She accepted the answer. And sometimes. He looked at her. Sometimes I just miss you. Those words were harder for Emma than anger. Because anger meant there was still distance. Missing someone meant love was still alive. They began meeting regularly. Not as a couple. Not yet. Just two people trying to understand what remained after 10 years. They walked through the places that shaped their story. The library. The river. The old oak tree. Each place carried memories. Some beautiful. Some painful. One evening, they stood beneath the oak tree where they first met. Emma touched the rough bark. I used to come here every year. Daniel looked at her. What? After I left. You came back. Every summer. His expression changed. But I never saw you. I know. Why? She smiled sadly. Because I was afraid. Daniel shook his head gently. You really spent 10 years being afraid. Emma looked down. Yes. And I spent 10 years waiting. They both laughed softly. Not because it was funny. Because sometimes life is so painful that laughter becomes the only way to survive it. Slowly, they began discovering each other again. Daniel learned that Emma loved painting now. Emma learned that Daniel still hated meetings, but loved building things. Daniel discovered she still tapped her fingers when she was nervous. Emma discovered he still looked at the sky whenever he was thinking. Some things changed. Some things never did. And maybe that was what made love survive. Not staying exactly the same, but recognizing each other despite everything that changed. One night, Emma invited Daniel to her childhood home. The house was smaller than he remembered. Or maybe they were simply bigger now. She opened an old wooden box. Inside were memories from their teenage years. Photographs, notes, a small bracelet, and the ring. Daniel stared at it. Emma picked it up carefully. I bought this 10 years ago. He looked at her. Why show me now? Because you deserve to know that I didn't leave, because I stopped choosing you. She placed the ring in his hand. I left because I thought choosing you meant letting you go. Daniel looked at the ring. The same ring that had waited 10 years. Like him. Like their love. Emma. She looked at him. I don't expect you to put it on. He stayed silent. I don't expect you to forget. Another pause. I only wanted you to know the truth. Daniel closed his fingers around the ring. Then he said, I need you to understand something. Emma nodded. Okay. I loved you when we were 17. Her eyes filled with tears. I loved you when you left. She looked down. I loved you during all those years. A tear fell. But I can't go back. I know. We can't become who we were. I know. He stepped closer. But maybe. He stopped. Emma looked at him. Maybe what? Daniel smiled faintly. Maybe we can become something new. For the first time in 10 years, Emma smiled without sadness. A real smile. The kind Daniel remembered. But just when they began believing, they had finally found their way back to each other. Life placed another challenge in front of them. 3 days later, Daniel received an unexpected message. It was from Emma's father, a man he had not spoken to in 10 years. The message contained only one sentence. "Daniel, there is something Emma never told you about the night she left." Daniel stared at the screen. His heart sank, because after 10 years of secrets, he had learned one thing. The truth was not always the end of the story. Sometimes, it was only the beginning. The secret she carried for 10 years. Daniel read the message again. Then again. And again. Each time, the words remained the same. "Daniel, there is something Emma never told you about the night she left." His fingers tightened around the phone. For 10 years, he had searched for answers. For 10 years, he had wondered what happened. And now, when he finally had Emma back in his life, another secret had appeared. Another hidden chapter. Another piece of a story he thought he understood. He looked through the window of his apartment. The city lights blurred in the distance. He should have felt angry. Maybe he should have felt betrayed. But instead, he felt something else. Fear. Because he knew Emma. He knew she had never hidden things because she wanted to hurt people. She hid things because she believed she was protecting them. And sometimes, the people who love us the most are the ones who carry the heaviest secrets alone. The next morning, Daniel drove to Emma's family home. The old house stood at the edge of town, surrounded by trees and memories. The same place where Emma had grown up. The same place where she had dreamed about a future with him. When the door opened, Daniel saw a man who looked older than he remembered. Thomas Carter, Emma's father. 10 years had changed him. His hair was almost completely gray. His face carried the marks of illness and time. But his eyes were still familiar. The eyes of the man who had once welcomed Daniel into his home like a son. "Daniel." The older man looked at him with sadness. "Come in." Daniel stepped inside. The house smelled exactly the same. Old books, wooden furniture, a hint of coffee. Memories lived everywhere. Thomas sat down slowly. "I knew one day you would come." Daniel looked at him. "Why didn't you tell me?" Thomas lowered his eyes. "Because I promised Emma." The answer was painful. Daniel sat across from him. "Everyone promised Emma something." Thomas looked confused. "What do you mean?" "My whole life changed because people decided what was best for me without asking me." The older man remained silent. Because he knew Daniel was right. "Emma believed she was saving you," Thomas said. Daniel looked away. She was wrong." Those words surprised him. Thomas sighed. "She was young. She was scared. She thought love meant carrying someone's pain alone." He looked toward an old photograph on the wall. A picture of Emma as a child. "That is something she learned from me." Daniel looked back. "What?" "I spent my whole life trying to protect my family. I thought being strong meant never needing anyone." His voice became softer. "But strength is not refusing help. Strength is trusting someone enough to stand beside you." Daniel listened. Because those words explained everything. Emma had not left because she lacked love. She had left because she had too much of it. Thomas opened a drawer beside him. From inside, he removed a small envelope. Daniel immediately recognized the handwriting. Emma's handwriting. Again. Another letter. His heart sank. Another one. Thomas nodded. "She wrote many." "Why?" "Because she wanted to tell you everything." Daniel stared at the envelope. "Then why didn't she?" Thomas looked at him. "Because every time she tried, something happened." "What kind of something?" The older man hesitated. Then he said, "The biggest reason she stayed away was not your future." Daniel frowned. "What does that mean?" Thomas took a deep breath. "It was your mother." Daniel froze. "My mother." 10 years earlier. After Emma left, Daniel's mother, Claire Hayes, discovered how badly he was suffering. She saw her son losing himself. The cheerful boy who used to talk about dreams became quiet. The person who once filled every room with energy became someone who barely spoke. Claire knew Daniel loved Emma, but she also knew something else. She knew Emma blamed herself. One evening, Claire traveled to meet Emma. Not out of anger, out of fear. She found Emma sitting alone outside the university campus. A young girl carrying a pain too heavy for her age. Claire sat beside her. "Emma." The girl immediately stood. "Mrs. Hayes, you need to let him go." Those words broke Emma. "I know." Claire looked at her. "No, you don't." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "You think staying away is enough. You think disappearing will heal him." She paused. "But every day he waits for you." Emma looked down. "I know." "Then why?" "Because I love him." Claire softened. "Then love him enough to live your own life too." Emma cried, because she had spent months trying to prove she loved Daniel. But now someone was telling her that love also meant accepting that she could not control his choices. Daniel listened silently. His mother's name carried memories too. He knew his mother had always supported him, but he never knew she had met Emma. "She told Emma to leave me." Thomas shook his head. "No." He looked directly at Daniel. "She told Emma to stop punishing herself." Daniel became quiet. "Then why didn't Emma come back?" Thomas looked at him sadly. "Because something happened after that. Emma received news that changed everything. Her father needed a major operation. The cost was overwhelming. Emma had to choose between returning home or accepting a career opportunity that would secure her family's future. She chose responsibility. Again. But this time, she made another promise. A promise to herself. She would return to Daniel when she had something to offer him. Not because she needed him, but because she wanted to stand beside him as an equal. Years passed. She became successful. She built a name for herself. But every year, the fear remained. What if Daniel has moved on? What if he hates me? What if I return too late? Thomas pushed the envelope toward Daniel. "This is the last letter." Daniel looked at it. "What makes it different?" Thomas smiled sadly. "Because she wrote this one when she decided to come back." Daniel opened it. The first line immediately broke something inside him. "Dear Daniel, I don't know if I still have the right to call you mine. Maybe 10 years is too long. Maybe some promises expire with time. But I need you to know something. I never waited for the perfect moment to love you. I loved you in the imperfect moments. When I was afraid. When I was lost. When I was far away. I loved you when I had nothing. I loved you when I achieved everything. And I loved you when I finally understood that I should never have made choices for your heart. If you no longer want me, I will accept it. But if there is even a small part of you that remembers the girl under the oak tree, I hope she can meet the man you became. Not to erase the past, but to thank you for being the most beautiful chapter of my life. Emma." Daniel lowered the letter. For a long time, he said nothing. Then he whispered, "She really carried all of this alone." Thomas nodded. "Yes." "Why?" The older man smiled sadly. "Because Emma was always afraid of being a burden." Daniel looked toward the window. And suddenly, he remembered every moment. Every time Emma apologized for needing help. Every time she tried to handle problems alone. Every time she smiled while hiding pain. He had spent 10 years believing she did not choose him. But the truth was, she had spent 10 years believing she did not deserve to be chosen. That evening, Daniel found Emma sitting beside the river. Their place. The place where everything began. She looked surprised when she saw him. What happened? Daniel sat beside her. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he placed the letter between them. Her face changed immediately. You read it? Yes. She looked away. I'm sorry. Daniel shook his head. No. Emma looked at him. No. No more apologies. Her eyes filled with tears. Daniel. I spent 10 years wishing I knew the truth. He looked at the river. And now I do. A pause. But I also realized something. What? He turned toward her. We both lost 10 years because we were trying to protect each other. Emma cried silently. Because that was the truth. Their love had not died. It had been buried under fear. Daniel reached into his pocket. He took out the small ring she had kept for 10 years. Emma looked at it. I can't promise everything will be easy. She nodded. I know. I can't promise I won't still have questions. I know. I can't pretend those 10 years didn't hurt. Her tears fell. I know. Daniel held the ring in his hand. But I can promise one thing. Emma looked at him. What? He smiled gently. I don't want to spend another 10 years without you. For the first time in a decade. Emma allowed herself to believe. Not that the past could be changed, but that the future could still be written. She leaned against him. And beneath the same sky, where two teenagers once promised forever, two adults finally began keeping that promise. But neither of them knew that the next challenge waiting for them would test whether their love had truly healed. Because love, after 10 years, was not only about finding each other again. It was about learning how to stay. Learning to love again. Love stories often end at the moment two people find their way back to each other. The missing person returns. The tears are shed. The forgotten promise is remembered. The two hearts finally meet again. And everyone believes the hardest part is over. But Daniel and Emma discovered something different. Finding someone after 10 years was only the beginning. Because love that survives time still has to survive reality. The past had brought them back together. But the future would ask them a much more difficult question. Could they love each other as the people they had become, not only as the people they used to be? The first few weeks after their reunion were beautiful. Not perfect. Beautiful. There was a difference. Perfect belonged to dreams. Beautiful belonged to real life. Real life had awkward conversations. Real life had moments of uncertainty. Real life had old wounds that sometimes opened unexpectedly. But real life also had morning coffee together. Long walks. Shared laughter. Small moments that slowly built something new. Daniel learned that Emma no longer liked crowded restaurants because she enjoyed quiet places. Emma learned that Daniel still woke up early every morning because he had spent years training himself to never waste a day. Daniel learned that Emma listened to classical music when she worked. Emma learned that Daniel still kept every handwritten note anyone important had ever given him. Some things surprised them. Some things comforted them. And some things reminded them that 10 years had passed. One evening, they sat outside the old cafe. The sun was disappearing behind the hills. Emma watched people walking through the street. It feels strange. Daniel looked at her. What does? Being here with you. He smiled. Good strange or bad strange? She thought for a moment. Both. He laughed softly. That sounds complicated. It is. She looked at him. 10 years ago, I knew everything about you. And now I feel like I'm meeting you again. Daniel nodded. Maybe that's not a bad thing. Emma smiled. Why? Because I get to fall in love with you twice. Her eyes softened. Twice. Once with the girl who sat under the oak tree. He paused. And once with the woman sitting in front of me now. Emma looked away, trying to hide her tears. You always knew what to say. No. Daniel smiled. I just spent 10 years thinking about what I should have said. But even happiness had shadows. Daniel noticed them first. Emma still carried guilt. Whenever they talked about the past, she became quiet. Whenever someone mentioned the years they lost, she blamed herself. One night, they were walking near the river when Daniel stopped. Emma. She turned. Yes. Why are you still punishing yourself? Her expression changed. I'm not. You are. She looked away. I hurt you. Yes. She flinched slightly. But I chose to forgive you. A silence followed. Daniel stepped closer. You can't keep apologizing for something we are trying to heal. Emma whispered. What if you wake up one day and realize you can't forgive me? Daniel looked at her. Then I will tell you. She looked surprised. What? I spent 10 years imagining you coming back, but I don't want a relationship built on fear. Her eyes filled. I don't want you wondering every day if I regret choosing you. A tear fell. Do you? Daniel answered immediately. No. The next month brought a new challenge. Emma received an offer from an international architecture company. A dream opportunity. A position she had worked years to achieve. But the company was in another country. When she received the news, the first person she wanted to tell was Daniel. But the moment she saw the email, another thought entered her mind. What if he thinks I am leaving again? That fear returned. The same fear that had controlled her 10 years ago. She closed the laptop. She said nothing. And Daniel noticed. Because after 10 years apart, he had learned something important. Silence had always been Emma's way of carrying pain. You got an offer. Emma froze. They were having dinner at Daniel's apartment. What? You got an offer. She stared at him. How did you know? Daniel smiled sadly. Because you have the same expression you had when you were 17 and scared. She looked down. I'm sorry. Daniel sighed. There it is again. What? Apologizing before telling me the truth. Emma became quiet. It's in Paris. Daniel nodded. Okay. She looked confused. Okay. Yes. You don't want to know anything else. I do. He looked at her. But I want you to tell me because you want to share your life with me. A pause. Not because you are afraid of my reaction. Emma looked at him. You're not angry. No. But you waited 10 years because I left. Daniel smiled gently. Emma, I waited 10 years because I loved you. He took her hand. But I don't want your life to become smaller because of that love. Those words changed something inside her. Because 10 years ago, she believed love meant sacrifice. Now Daniel was teaching her something different. Love was not about giving up pieces of yourself. Love was about finding someone who wanted to see you become everything you were meant to become. Still, the decision was not easy. They spent nights talking, not arguing, not fighting, talking. The kind of conversations they should have had 10 years ago. What do you want? Daniel asked. Emma looked at him. I want you. That wasn't my question. She smiled sadly. I know. He waited. Finally, she said, I want this opportunity. Daniel nodded. Then go. The words surprised her. Just like that. Not just like that. He smiled. With me supporting you. A few days later, Emma stood at the airport. 10 years earlier, an airport represented goodbye. Today, it represented something different. A promise. Daniel stood beside her. She looked nervous. What if this doesn't work? Daniel looked at her. Then we figure it out. What if distance is hard? It will be. What if we miss each other? We will. She smiled. You're very confident. No. He looked at her. I'm just tired of letting fear make decisions for us. Those words stayed with her. Because they were the words they both needed 10 years ago. Before she walked towards security, Emma stopped. She reached into her bag. Daniel recognized the small box. The ring. The same ring. The one that had waited 10 years. She held it out. Daniel. He looked at her. I carried this for 10 years because I thought it represented a future we lost. She smiled softly. But now, I think it represents something else. What? A future we still have. Daniel's eyes filled. Emma. She placed the ring in his hand. Not today. He looked confused. Not today. She shook her head. I don't want us to pretend we can go back to where we were. A tear fell. I want us to build something new. Daniel smiled. That's the first thing you've said that doesn't scare me. She laughed through her tears. Why? Because it sounds like you finally believe we have time. Months passed. Paris was difficult. The distance was difficult. But this time, they did something they never did before. They communicated. They shared fears. They shared dreams. They chose each other every day. And slowly, they learned the truth. Love was not proven by waiting. Love was proven by choosing. 1 year later, Daniel traveled to Paris. He found Emma standing in front of one of her completed buildings. The building was beautiful, modern, elegant, full of light. Did you build this? Daniel asked. Emma turned around. Her face brightened. You came. Of course. She smiled. You always come. Daniel looked at the building. No. He looked at her. I don't come because I have to. A pause. I come because I want to. That evening, they walked through the streets of Paris. The city lights surrounded them. After dinner, Daniel took Emma to a quiet garden. She looked around. Why are we here? He smiled. Because 10 years ago, I lost the chance to ask you something. Her heart stopped. Daniel took out a small box. Emma covered her mouth. Daniel. He opened it. Inside was not the old ring. It was a new one. A new beginning. I don't want to marry the girl who left. Emma's eyes filled with tears. I want to marry the woman who came back. For a moment, she could not speak. Then she smiled. A smile filled with 10 years of memories. Yes. Daniel laughed. You didn't even let me finish. She cried and laughed at the same time. Because I waited 10 years too. They held each other beneath the Paris sky. Two people who had lost time. Two people who had found forgiveness. Two people who finally understood that love was not measured by years together. It was measured by the courage to choose each other again. But their story was not over. Because the greatest love stories are not about the moment people find each other. They are about everything they build afterward. And Daniel and Emma were about to discover that marriage was not the ending of their story. It was the beginning of their greatest chapter. The years we almost lost. A year after Daniel asked Emma to marry him, they returned to Willow Creek. Not because they wanted to live in the past, but because some beginnings deserve to be honored where they started. The town had changed. New buildings had appeared. Old shops had disappeared. People they knew had grown older. Children they once watched playing in the streets were now adults with dreams of their own. But the river was still there. The old bridge was still there. And beneath the oak tree behind the library, two people stood quietly, remembering the two younger versions of themselves who had no idea how complicated love could become. Emma touched the tree gently. "Do you ever think about them?" Daniel smiled. "Them? The teenagers we used to be." He looked at the tree. "Sometimes. What do you think they would say if they saw us now?" Daniel thought for a moment. "I think they would be surprised." "Why?" "Because they thought love was simple." Emma laughed softly. "They were young. They were." A pause. "But they were right about one thing." She looked at him. "What?" Daniel took her hand. They knew they had found something special. Emma smiled. Yes. Their wedding was not a grand event. They could have chosen luxury. They could have invited hundreds of people. Daniel had the resources. Emma had the recognition. But neither wanted a celebration that belonged to strangers. They wanted something that belonged to them. So they chose a small garden beside the river. The same river where they had once dreamed about a future. The same river where they had once said goodbye. The same river that had witnessed their entire story. On the morning of the wedding, Daniel stood alone near the water. His best friend Michael walked toward him. After all these years, Michael still had the same habit of making jokes at serious moments. "You look nervous." Daniel smiled. "I am." Daniel Hayes, the man who built a company worth millions, is nervous. Daniel looked toward the garden. Building a company is easy compared to trusting someone with your entire heart. Michael became quiet. Because he understood. Everyone knew Daniel had succeeded. Almost nobody knew how much courage it had taken for him to love again. Meanwhile, Emma stood with her mother. Her mother adjusted her dress and smiled. "You look happy." Emma looked at herself in the mirror. For the first time in many years, she believed it. "I am." Her mother held her hand. "Your father would have been proud." Emma smiled sadly. Her father had passed away 2 years earlier. But before he left, he had seen Daniel and Emma together again. He had apologized. Not because he believed he had caused their separation, but because he regretted that fear had controlled so many decisions. His final words to Emma were simple. Never protect love by running away from it again. She carried those words forever. When Emma walked toward Daniel, everything became silent. Not because the world stopped. Because some moments are so meaningful that your mind refuses to notice anything else. Daniel looked at her. And for a second, he did not see the woman standing before him. He saw the 17-year-old girl under the oak tree. The girl holding a book. The girl who changed his life without knowing it. Then he saw everything after. The distance. The pain. The waiting. The forgiveness. The woman she became. And he realized something. He had not been waiting for the past. He had been waiting for this moment. For this person. For this love. During their vows, Daniel held Emma's hands. "I used to think the hardest day of my life was the day you left." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "But I was wrong." He smiled. "The hardest day was the day I realized I had to forgive you." A small silence passed. "Because forgiveness meant accepting that I still loved you." Emma squeezed his hands. Daniel continued. "You taught me that love is not about never being hurt." He looked into her eyes. "It is about finding someone worth healing with." Tears fell down Emma's cheeks. Then it was her turn. She took a breath. 10 years ago, I thought I had to choose between loving you and letting you become who you were meant to be." She smiled sadly. "I was wrong." A pause. "Because the person who truly loves you does not ask you to choose between them and your dreams." She looked at him. "They stand beside you while you chase them." Years later, people would ask them, "How did you know you were meant to be together?" And they always gave different answers. Daniel would say, because even after 10 years, she was still the person I wanted to tell my good news to. Emma would say, because even after 10 years, he was still the person who made me feel safe. But the truth was simpler. They were not together because their story was perfect. They were together because their story survived being imperfect. 5 years after their wedding, Daniel and Emma visited the old train station, the place where they reunited. Emma looked around. It feels like another lifetime. Daniel nodded. It does. She smiled. Do you ever wish we had found each other sooner? Daniel thought about it. This question had followed him for years. Before, he would have answered yes. He would have wished for those lost years back. But now he understood something. No. Emma looked surprised. No. Daniel shook his head. If we found each other sooner, we would have loved each other as teenagers. He smiled. And maybe we wouldn't have known how to keep it. Emma looked at him. But we lost 10 years. Yes. He held her hand. And I will always wish we had those years. A pause. But I won't waste the years we have now. Their life together was not always easy. They argued. They disagreed. They had difficult days. Real love always does. There were moments when Daniel became too focused on work. Moments when Emma carried too much responsibility. Moments when old fears returned. But the difference was that they no longer ran away. They talked. They listened. They stayed. Because they had learned the lesson that took them 10 years to understand. Leaving is easy. Staying requires courage. One evening, many years later, Daniel found Emma sitting beneath the oak tree. She was older now. So was he. Their hair had changed. Their faces carried more stories. But their eyes still recognized each other. "What are you doing here?" Daniel asked. Emma smiled. "Remembering." He sat beside her. "What?" She looked at the tree. "The girl I used to be." "And what would you tell her?" Emma thought for a long time. Then she smiled. "I would tell her not to be so afraid." Daniel looked at her. "Anything else?" "Yes." "What?" She took his hand. "I would tell her that the love she was trying so hard to protect," a tear appeared in her eyes, "was the same love that would save her someday." Daniel looked at her. After all these years, after all the pain, after all the waiting, he finally understood. The 10 years were not empty years. They were years that shaped them. Years that taught them patience. Years that taught them forgiveness. Years that taught them the difference between loving someone and truly understanding them. And when people asked Daniel Hayes about the greatest achievement of his life, he never mentioned his company. He never mentioned his success. He never mentioned the awards. He always answered the same way. "The greatest thing I ever did was wait for the person who taught me that waiting was never the point." People would ask, "Then what was the point?" Daniel would smile. And he would say, "The point was finding our way back." Because some love stories happen quickly. Some happen unexpectedly. And some take years to become what they were always meant to be. Daniel and Emma's story was not about a man who waited 10 years. It was about two people who spent 10 years becoming ready for the love they already had. And in the end, they discovered the greatest truth. Time does not destroy true love. Fear does. And once fear is gone, love always finds its way home.